Morning, morning, morning. It's our Monday essential emotions discussion where we talk about using essential oils for processing, healthfully processing our emotions. So there's this woman that wrote a book. Her name's Byron Katie, Byron. I'm going to mute you, Cindy. There's a background. And I really loved her book. And she developed some worksheets to use. So it's all about understanding that your thoughts and who you are separate things. So the things we think do not define who we are, and learning how to dissect them and ask yourself a set of questions. So I'm excited to show you guys what I'm talking about. I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you. Do you guys see this where it says one belief at a time? You see it? Okay. So what you do, you want to start with, is it true? So it helps if we have a real life thing to deal with. So anyone want to volunteer, like something you've been struggling with that you might say over and over in your head, or it might be a conflict. Anyone? Otherwise, I can think of something in my life. So what's one in my head? I'm always wondering if I'm enough. Like I feel like when my life feels too spread out, I start feeling like I need to stop everything so that I can bring the pieces of me back together, because it doesn't feel like I can go, like there's not enough of me. So I'm going to answer the questions about that. So I'll say this statement is there's not enough of me. Is it true? There's not enough of me. No, it's not true. Can you absolutely know that it's true? No. How do you react? What happens? When you believe that thought? When I believe that thought, I withdraw. I feel small and I feel weak. What emotions arrive when you believe that thought? It makes me feel bad about myself, like low confidence, like a failure feeling comes up when I don't feel enough. What images of past and future do you see when you believe that thought? Well, for the future, it makes me feel like, oh, like my goal, I won't be able to reach my goals because I'm not committed enough, or because I'm not strong enough. Thinking about the past, I mean, I've tested the waters with a lot of things and I've failed at things, but it's all learning things, like you have to fall down to learn how to do something and have humility. How do you treat yourself and others when you believe that thought? I push people away and I avoid when I'm feeling not enough, or I tend to kind of go into my hermit mode. So I'm sure that makes other people feel discluded or wondering like what they did wrong, because I have a strong personality, so I come on strong, and then people might be like, well, we were friends and now she hasn't talked to me in 3 days. So there's that. Oh God, that's another big belief thing that I have a hard time with, feeling like I'm letting people down. So when I'm not enough, it makes me feel like I'm letting people down. So let's move on from that. How do you treat yourself and others when you believe that thought? Belief I'm working on, that I'm not enough and letting people down. Who would you be without that thought? Oh, this is when it gets good. Who or what are you without the thought? if I were enough and I'm not letting people down, that if I believe that people can take care of themselves and that I don't have to work hard for people to like me. That's a thing. So if I turn that into a statement of positivity, let's see, turn the thought around. He hurt me. So I am enough and people can take care of themselves. Possibilities. So this is all different ways that you can turn that thought around on its head. So what do you guys think of that process? Dina just joined us. This is the One Belief at a Time worksheet from Byron Katie. So I was just going through some
cool
possibilities, some thoughts that some that roll around in my head. And then I turned it on its head so that I can take that. So now what I do with this thing that I found out at the end, when I turn the thought around, that I am enough and I trust that people can take care of themselves. Now I'm going to cement that with a positive thing.
But that's a lot of self-awareness, because I couldn't even think of something. And then when you thought of that, I said, yeah, I do that too. But to process it that fast, as far as answering those questions and turning it around, it would take me some time to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I've had this worksheet for a while and I've been through the process. So it's going to be fun practicing, right? Like getting good at turning it around faster. So let me find I cleaned my office. So of course I put my books away. So now I got to grab that. So I'm going to look in my emotions book about the word enough. Let's see what that says. And that's not I keep coming up with words that aren't in here. But the oils that I have around me right now that I've been into are forgive and lime. So if I go through that process and now I want to cement the positive emotion in my body, like it feels expansive when I say I am enough and I trust that others can take care of themselves. So I'm going to take my lime. I'm going to put it in my hand. Something I've been thinking about that because I want to help people figure out like the imagery that goes. If you knew, so I know that the line, this is probably coming from like the Dominican Republic or somewhere tropical. Do we know where doTERRA's lime comes from, Dina? You know it off the top of your head? Because I think wild orange is Dominican. I'm thinking lime is probably going to be something like that.
I know the lemon comes from Italy, but I don't remember where the lime comes from.
We'll find out, but it feels tropical to me. So I'm thinking, or maybe like
it's Brazil.
Okay,
Brazil,
South America. So now I'm gonna take it and I'll be like, let's go to Brazil. We're going to Brazil. And I'm already wearing like my workout top because I'm like down at the beach. I'm letting myself have a good time. So I can like do a time machine thing, transport myself somewhere different. So I think that's a good way to use the imagery. Maybe I should pull up a chart that I can share with everybody where all the oils come from so we can play that game. Like now we're in Oman, we're in Somaliland with our frankincense. So does anyone want to try a statement and then we can go through it? So it's usually something that comes up a lot in your head. There's a gal yesterday. I wanted to share with you guys. I was in a recovery meeting. It's my favorite one. It's called Yoga and Recovery. So it's all about the philosophy of yoga and applying those principles for your emotional and spiritual well-being. And there's a practice you can do that when you catch yourself in that thought loop that's very common for you, like right before you berate yourself, you can pause. So like, Kim, you're such a pause. And this woman told a story about she was in Maine, where she lives in Maine, and it's winter there right now for all of us. And apparently, when you live somewhere there's a lot of snow, you kind of need to make sure that there's not like things in your driveway the night before it's going to snow, so that it's a lot easier to clear the snow the next day. So she's an older lady and she lives by herself. And so she didn't move the things out of her driveway. And now there's like 2 feet of snow. So it's just like, it adds to her job, like move the stuff and then you can clear it. So she was about to say the thing in her head about like, you're such a jerk, or what were you thinking, you're a dummy. And she goes, Jody, you're such a cutie. And she said it out loud. So I was like, that is such a cute, sweet process, like if you can pause and then say the positive thing out loud. So, or like if you're a person who says sorry a lot and you don't need to be saying sorry, like bumping into the wall and saying sorry to the wall. My friend that I just got off the phone with her, she says in her yoga training that you retrain yourself to say another word. So instead of sorry, it's sexy or sassy. What do you guys think of that?
That's pretty cool. I did come up with a statement, might be kind of a long statement, of something that comes in my head a lot is like, I don't have enough time for the self-care. Like that's the thing.
Okay. Do you want to hear truth?
Of course not. So yes, I would love to hear truth about that.
When we say we don't have time, that means I don't want to, and I don't want to take responsibility.
Okay.
I have a question. What, can you hear me? Yeah. What if what you think is actually true? So like, I am a procrastinator.
Yeah.
And I actually am a procrastinator of the things that are hardest for me. So, but you're saying like with Jody, you could say, I am so ambitious because I want to get all these things done, even though I put them off. Like maybe you could try to put a positive spin on things, even if the voice in your head is true. It depends on how you view it and process it. It may not be such a negative, even though we think being procrastinating is one thing, but if you're doing 5 things at once, you have to procrastinate some of them because you can't do everything simultaneously, for example. I don't know, any suggestions any of you would have would be very grateful, because that's what came to me the quickest when I was trying to think what I would say to be down.
Well, with procrastination, there's expectations that are wrapped up in that, and you're also not quite being kind to yourself, because I think that everybody has to do things one thing at a time. You can't do it all at once. You have to start with one thing at a time. So it's on prioritizing what's the most important thing. Like Dina and I were talking about this, like the night before, like the next day you're thinking of what you need to get done. You're going to write down what are your top 3 things that have to be done tomorrow. Anything else that's on that list that doesn't have to be done, that means it's going to go to the next day, because it's not the top priority. So I think allowing yourself to like lower your expectation, like there's only 3 things that you need to do. That's
And
it.
how could you replace that That's really helpful, actually, but how could you replace that voice saying procrastinator with what else might you rename it
Um,
that isn't so negative?
Dina, do you have an idea?
Well, I would just say I am efficient instead of I'm a procrastinator. So Kim and I also teach another class that's, asking better questions. And then also whatever you say after I am, your brain finds it to be correct. So if you're telling yourself all the time you're a procrastinator, then that's what you end up getting. But
Like
if
a
you say
self-fulfilling
I am
prophecy.
efficient and I work hard, then you get efficiency and hard work. And so I think what you said in the beginning, I am efficient. I think that's key. Whatever the opposite of procrastination is for you. Yeah.
It's sort of like what you put out in the universe sort of expands to be more woo-woo. You call in or whatever, however you want to put it.
Well, like what hats, is that the hat you've always worn since you were a kid? Did your family tell you like, oh, she does it, she gets it done last second. She's always seat of her pants. She's got to wait till the day before to get a project done. Like, it's-
Not that, but I think, sorry to talk over you, Kim. I think it's more like you screw things up. So instead of taking a leap and doing something wrong and screwing it up, you sort of put it off altogether.
okay, so
Or
there it is.
for a while at least.
So,
That's the pattern.
if I were there, I'd be hugging you right now. Be like,
Aw.
you're not gonna screw it up. Like you're gonna do like what you were supposed to do when you were brought here. Like if sitting and not doing something of fear of not doing it well,
Mhm.
it's heartbreaking,
And it's always once, I mean, this is probably a rule of thumb, but once you start a sort of dreaded task, it's so you always ask yourself, why didn't I do this sooner? It's not as bad once you start, and I can do this,
Yeah, we believe in you. You can do it.
And I have accomplished a lot in my life. So that it sort of surprises other people. So, but I just have held on to the negative voice more, maybe.
It's easier to hold on to the negative voice. So it takes practice so that you can start talking to yourself in a kinder way,
Why
like,
is it easier? Is it because you're familiar with it?
yeah, you were trained to do that.
Mhm.
So, family all around you, the way that most people, how they relate to each other is, oh, well, it's Monday and I have so much to get done. And you're like, it's Monday for me too. And I have so much to get done. Why don't we relate this way? Like, it's totally different and weird when people are like, you know what I'm going to do today? And I'm, like it's kind of weird when people are excited about their day, right? So it's like you're going to start attracting more like for like when you start going, oh, like I'm looking forward to do this. I'm looking forward to try this new thing. It's being okay with not doing something well. Like I'm going to go do a dance class and I'll look like a total dork. Like there's going to be people who've been doing it for months. And it doesn't matter because like I'm just there to have fun. And it's okay if I don't do it well the first time, So like you have to be willing to look like a total dork.
Thank you.
You'll have fun. Just if you look at it like that. Go ahead, Dina.
So me and my daughter just had this conversation of like, we're in the process of learning she's in the process of learning how to snowboard and finding it very frustrating because she hasn't picked it up. And usually she's very good at things very, very quickly. And so there's a learning curve with it, right? And so I said, one of the things I want you to think about is like when you're first learning how to walk, there's a huge learning curve and we don't get it right off the bat, right? We fall down, we get back up, we fall down, we get back up, we fall down again, we get back up, right? And so nobody as a baby says, well, I fell once, I give up, I'm just going to not learn how to walk. We don't do that, right? But yet here we are, when we fail at one thing here or there, we beat ourselves up, we get counterproductive, because the brain likes what's familiar. And so just like we talked about. And so you reclude back into safety sometimes. And so, think about giving yourself some grace when you are learning something new. I think that's where a lot of us need to have compassion for ourselves. I mean, you wouldn't say to another person, all right, you should give up, right? You're just not good at this, you should just give up. We wouldn't say that to another person, but yet we do that to ourselves quite often, and it's very counterproductive. So I love that this tool helps to open up our mind and our thought patterns of rewiring and creating something that is productive for ourselves, so you can move forward and overcome some of these obstacles that we place in our path on our way to doing something fabulous and great. Like if you think about it, if, Thomas Edison gave up on the 999th time of trying to make electricity, we wouldn't have electricity, but he didn't. He 1,000 times didn't give up. And on the 1,000th time, we got electricity. So giving yourself some grace for that learning curve is huge.
I was looking up procrastination, but I feel like do you feel like you just processed it? Because I'm thinking maybe I need to look up confidence.
That'd be good.
Okay.
But what does it say for procrastination? I'd also be curious what it says for procrastination.
Well, let me go back. Okay, so let your brain pick one of these, okay? Blue Tansy, In Tune.
Just those two?
Yeah, I only had two.
Oh, In Tune.
Okay. And the question is, what do I need to process through so I am free to move forward? Do I have a good balance of work and rest? What am I afraid of? So it sounded like you're afraid of messing it up.
Yeah.
It says, I can now move forward with confidence and ease. All things now come together for my good. So I would do that. Do the imagery. But let me tell you what it says about confidence.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so pick which one it's going to say, okay?
Okay.
Bergamot, cassia, Roman chamomile, spearmint, lavender, citrus bliss, patchouli, Terra Shield, Meta Power, Motivate, turmeric, beautiful, adaptive, Divana, laurel leaf, vanilla, and supermint. Did you pick some?
Spearmint, bergamot, and adaptive.
Ooh. I picked bergamot and citrus bliss. So why am I concerned with the opinions of others? Okay, I now believe in my ability to move forward. I now have permission to accept gifts, feeling safe, secure, and abounding in grace. Wow. This is on page 220 of the Essential Emotions book. But I think that would be really powerful. If you were going to make a roller, do like 10 drops of each. And then say that statement out loud every day. I think you should put it on a sticky on your mirror. I now believe in my ability to move forward. I now have permission to accept gifts, feeling safe, secure, and abounding in grace.
Sounds good.
That's a good one for me too. I've been procrastinating a little bit of things on my computer work. And it is a little bit of that perfectionism stuff. I don't want to do it because I don't think it's going to turn out right. So I should look up perfectionism, huh?
Yeah.
Am I on the trail for everybody? This is a common theme for most people. Oh, I went too far. Where is perfectionism? It says go, okay, it wants me to go back to distrusting. But for perfectionism, it says cypress, serenity, sunny citrus, and a mauve. But I just saw a word that I feel like goes with it, resisting. QRS. Resisting. Vetiver, deep blue, spikenard, digestion, fennel, whisper, amave, and guaiac wood. I got digestion for resisting. Interesting. So does anyone else want to go through this worksheet? Otherwise, I'll take it down. Oh, there's another worksheet she has that you guys might want to see. It's the, what's it called? The Judge Your Neighbor. Open. Judge your neighbor. Let's see. Right here. You guys see it, or do I need to stop share and start again? Does it say Judge Your Neighbor worksheet? No, okay, let me stop share. Share screen. So this is where she wants you to start when she doesn't want you to start with your own stuff. She wants you to start with the inventory of your resentments with other people, because you're going to get a clearer answer. So you can think of the other person in this situation, who angers, confuses, hurts, saddens, or disappoints you, and why. So I can do this with my stuff. Happy to lay my stuff on the table for you guys, or I can go through it with someone else. All right, I'm on the chopping block today. Okay, so I feel resentful with, I won't say the person's name, because they make me feel like I have to justify the good things that happen in my life. They want me to say sorry for my blessings. That's what's happening. In this situation, I want no name. How do you want him or her to change? What do you want him to do? I want them to be happy for me, and I want them to take responsibility for their own happiness. What advice would you offer him or her? Well, I want this person, I want them to make decisions in their life and move forward, and drop the things that are making them unhappy and other people around them. In order for you to be happy in the situation, what do you need him or her to think, say, feel, or do? I want them to acknowledge that they make other people uncomfortable, me very uncomfortable. How do I say that? Okay. What do I need them to do? What would make me really happy if they would just cry a lot and then just say all the things that they are going to change and like really do it. Like, I want to see tears. I'm being really brutal right now. What do you think of him or her in this situation? Make a list. What do I think of them? I think Paul is a liar, arrogant, loud, dishonest, unconscious. I mean, there's a lot of mean things I can say, and I don't think I'm going to go into that on a recording. What is this about this person and situation that you don't ever want to experience again? I don't ever want to feel like I have to pretend to be somebody's friend. I don't ever want to feel like I can't say what I need to say. Okay, now the 4 questions. So now this is where we're going to turn it on its head. So this person made me feel uncomfortable, and I want them to take responsibility. Is it true? Yes. Can you absolutely know that it's true? Yes. Can you react? How do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? I feel really angry inside because I love being able to control people and make them change. That's part of my codependent nature. Who or what would you be without that thought? Without that thought, I would feel freer and more kind. Okay. So now I'm going to turn it around, that I made her uncomfortable and that I'm not taking responsibility. Okay. She didn't make me feel uncomfortable. As you visualize the situation, contemplate how each turnaround is as true or truer. As I'm saying it, like doing it out loud, it's making me feel better. I feel less angry, and I feel like I need to like take responsibility for my part in things. So it's basically just like writing it out, getting it out of the energy of it out of your body and on a paper, and then putting it on its head and taking responsibility for your piece. So I can do that. And I do feel better. But now I don't feel good about us being on a recording. Anyway, what do you guys think of that? It's very helpful when you're angry at someone. I've gone through it when I was really working through a lot of stuff with my husband. And it's very helpful to use oils in that situation. So right now I feel like I feel lighter, but I also feel embarrassed because I generally feel that way when I get raw. So anything coming up for you guys? I'm gonna look up embarrassed because I think it'll be fun to see what it says. Cassia, jasmine, and Spanish sage. Ooh, I picked Spanish sage. What image am I trying to preserve? What will it take for me to realize it is okay to make mistakes? It's okay to make mistakes. It is now safe for me to learn and make mistakes. How do you guys feel about that? I'm going to stop sharing. Can somebody say that out loud for me? It is okay for me to learn and make mistakes.
It is okay to learn and make mistakes.
Yes, high five. Okay, imagine yourself removing the embarrassment that was once inside your body. See the roots connected with this idea, pulled out completely and replaced with light. Ooh, crazy. Okay, I'm going to use Spanish sage for this. How interesting. Okay, well, we went through a journey through procrastination and confidence and then embarrassment. I feel like it led us to, like, if you didn't do something well and you tried, but you allowed yourself to learn and make mistakes. That's very, very self-compassionate and loving, I think. So challenge you guys. Do you want me to I can probably figure out how to put those worksheets in the chat maybe, or if you message me, I'll email them to you. Because they are powerful. I would just print out like 4 or 5 of each. And then that way, when you're journaling, you already have them, and then you can just start writing and working through those statements so that you can teach yourself that they're either true or they're not, and how do you release the energy of it. There was something else we didn't get to go through. Shannon, you said you don't have time to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm,
Is it okay if we talk about that?
sure.
So I'm reading, I'm still finishing up that book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And I'm getting to the part that talks about time. And he says in there that it's all about taking responsibility for your time. And he also shared that there's something called Einstein time. And like, okay, so when you go to cook something and you're waiting and it's like you have 3 more minutes on the oven, those 3 minutes last a really long time, right? Because you're like bored and you're waiting and you want it to be done. But when you only have 5 minutes to get ready before you have to go somewhere, it just seems like it's gone. That time is gone, right? And the thing is I guess through science, you know, the smart people that know how to do numbers, they figured out your time isn't something on the outside of you. It's something that comes from inside you. It's not on the outside, it's on the inside. So I control my own time, you control your own time. So you can talk to like your body and be like, well, you know, this is what I want to get done right now. You can get it done in half the time. So there's people like my cousin on here, Cindy, who she gets up and she gets everything done in the first 2 hours she's awake, and then she has the whole rest of the day. And then there's people like Dina, who it seems like she has enough time for 3 people, but also has lots of time, free time. So, and then like, there's the rest of the people in the world where like, they're like, I just don't have time to take care of myself because I work a full-time job and I can't even have relationships with other people. So how is that? If they have the same amount of time in the same day, can have a full job to do and still have free time. It's because they've learned how to bend time for themselves. So, and you have to learn how to prioritize what's important and what is not. So like getting rid of those things that are not important. If there's 20 people that are calling and texting me a day, asking me a question, it is not my responsibility to get back to them today. It's a courtesy if I did. If it doesn't fit into my priorities for today, it's not going to happen. You know, what do you guys think about that? The time benders versus the people with not enough time. And if you say, I don't have time, it means that you don't want to do it. It means I don't want to do it.
I wish my husband would accept that that's what it means when he says it.
You could show him, download that book and then show him if you want. Maybe he'll read it.
Mhm.
Maybe we can find some studies if he needs proof.
He does like verification a lot.
I'm sure it exists. So, but like when a kid comes up to, like, say, like one of my kids come in right now and they said, can you come play with me? And I can say, I don't have time right now. But if they came in and like they were bleeding, then I would have time to go put a Band-Aid, right? So really, I do have the time to play. I just don't want to because I want to finish what I'm doing first. So I could say to them, I want to finish this and then I will come play, instead of saying I don't have time. You know? So it's like being more clear with my communication. And it's also, there's something called the enlightened no. So once you know what you're supposed to be doing today, and it's absolutely what you want to get done today, because you've decided that the night before, it's not something that got tacked on today. It's something that last night, before today started, you were like, those are the things I'm absolutely have to get done. Not just the, oh, I wish I could get them done. Those are bullshit things. They're absolutely things. And then if people ask you for things, that's in the no pile. Nope. How's that sound? And you can tell them no, say I can't, this is what I have planned for today. So you don't make excuses, I don't have time. Just say, this is what I have planned for today. And yeah. Anyway, but that's pretty much, we went over time. I hope that helps you guys, and that knowing that you have control over your own time and that you can use those worksheets as a resource to help you talk yourself through a process so that you can start believing like the truth, like, okay, like I'm going to take responsibility for this, and I'm not going to be afraid to try new things and stuff like that, you know. And I feel less angry at that lady. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.